Live. Hey there, we're live. So this is Thursday Therapy. Happy New Year. I feel like it's been forever since I've been done a Thursday Therapy, but Happy New Year. I am Joyce Johnson, author, speaker, sales champion coach, and founder of Y Sales Network. I'm here with my Thursday Therapy. As you guys know, as I started writing No Back Doors for Me, my new book that's going to be released actually now next Friday, January the 15th. um, I felt like I needed some therapy. So here we are now on Thursday Therapies. And I have a very special guest with me today. I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself. It's a very special guest. She's mentioned in my book. She's been mentioned in other books that I've written before. Her name is Mrs. Dr. Deborah Thickpan, and she was a mentor to me in college. I say in this book I became her protege. So I always say Miss Thickpan, but Dr. Thickpan, introduce yourself to the audience.
I am Deborah Ken. I love that Joyce is using the great I am when she introduces herself because that is just so powerful. But my background, I'm in my third session of my different careers, but I'm a public relations specialist, an entrepreneur, and a college professor. And Joyce and I go back to her days at Prairie View A&M when I was a sports information director, and Joyce was one of my work study students. But she was more than that because I really depended on our students to get work done. And at the time, you don't mind telling dates to you, Joyce?
Yeah, can you not don't throw out all those dates,
Okay,
Dr. Thickpan. Can we not throw out all those dates?
okay, then no problem. But Joyce was a work study student and just such a scholar and smart person because she already had a background in sports before she joined my team at Prairie View A&M. And I'd like to let you guys know that I was the first female sports information director at an HBCU of both men's and women's sports. Most of the females would only handle women's sports, but I had the opportunity to handle men and women's sports. So I was the first in SWAG to do that. So,
Woo! I should have worn my Prairie View sweater today. Who are
right.
you rooting for? PV. Okay. But yeah, I talk about my HBCU life in the book because it's just such an important time in life and opened so many doors for me and introduced me to so many things that I didn't know of, had probably maybe or may not would have learned had I not left my little island of Galveston, Texas. And I can actually say to you, Dr. Thigpen, that one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping college students and mentoring college students is because you were so good to me. You were so good to us. It was like, I was away from home, but I knew that someone else had my back. I knew that someone else cared about me, and I knew that I would be okay. And you entrusted me with a lot. You really, you and I was like, like someone was saying, "Oh, did you go to this concert?" I said, "No, I was probably working at night, sending things off to the Associated Press and things like that,
Yeah,
because I was very focused on my responsibilities that you gave me and making sure that I checked all those boxes."
yeah. And that makes
Thank
sense
you.
that you did all of that because you're thanking me, but I need to thank you because um, I was overwhelmed a lot with all the work that we had to do and entering those statistics and getting them off. And if I gave Joyce an assignment to do, I could rest assured that she got it done. And she's carried that with her through life and just having that work ethic and wanting to help people. So, you know, you did an excellent job. You're doing an excellent job. I'm so proud to be your mentor. I cried when you graduated from Prairie View.
You did cry when I graduated. I got that picture.
Please send it to me. Okay.
I'll send it to you. I have that photo. I know I have it upstairs, so my mom could probably grab her copy faster.
Oh,
She sent me a picture of us just last week or two ago. She sent me a picture of us. Yes,
good,
but
great.
so as I mentioned, I'm releasing a book next week. Hopefully, you can join us virtually. I don't want to, expose you, have you come out to the personal, but unless you feel like it.
Right.
But no back doors for me. And as I mentioned, I shared the story with you earlier about how I just always felt when my mom made that decision not to go to the back door that she made that decision for herself and for her children, and for me as her firstborn child. And this week, I noticed that, Jazz on Team sent me a couple of quotes from the book. And the one that she used was that although the book title was No Back Doors for Me, I kind of felt like changing it a little bit, because I was like, I realized that the irony of it was I've been treated like I've been at the back door quite a bit in my professional life, right?
Yeah, and you have, and that book is perfect, and it's perfect timing. And it seems like we got to get these back doors to go away, but they're still here. You talk about the glass ceiling, so that's kind of a metaphor to the glass ceiling as well. But for African American women, it's been these back doors and the mistreatment that we've had all these years. And this is 2021, and it's still there.
Yes.
So that's a no. I mean, you can change the title if you want to, but I think that is
No, it's stuck. It's there. It's gone to print.
right. People need to
No.
can you tell us, about what happened with your mother that made it that she didn't want back doors for you guys?
Well, I mean, she was just going to a Mexican food restaurant that she really loved, and and it was just at that time when she shouldn't have been asked to go to a back door, but she was still asked to go to the back door, and she just said no, she wasn't going to do it.
Right.
And you've had opportunity to meet my mom, so she's a very strong, powerful, little 5'0" person in her own body, in her own space. And even growing up, she just, in the book I talk about having to write rebuttals and different things. She's often been my go-to, right? And uh, I've been blessed in that way where I have women in my family who are strong. And I remember writing my first rebuttal, and I think my Lillian, I'm sure she was probably at our house, and my mom was at the house, and they were able to guide me, right? And so grateful for that, because a lot of people don't have that guidance. However, they were in the nursing field. So when I went to corporate, then I would call back and lean on my mentors like you and my stepmom and some other people who were in that environment. So I just think that she just said no, right? She said no and she meant no. And also, when you're talking about college and going to college, I remember friends saying, "Oh, I just got to get out of high school." And my mindset was, "Well, I got to get out of high school, then I got to get out of college." And it wasn't like if you go to college, it was when you go to college.
Right, very good. And look at you. You went to college. You went back to college. You hold your master's degree. Um,
Yes.
I saw in you as becoming possibly a sports agent as well because of your background in that. But that meant law school. But look at you. How many books do you have under your belt?
This is going to be my seventh book. So I have two
So I have
ebooks. This will be the fifth one in print.
wow, awesome, awesome. I'm a
Yes.
degree in journalism. Look at you. You're my
I know.
you're a mentor now. You're my hero. So you're really a good
Oh,
one.
thank you. Thank you.
Read your books if they haven't had a chance, especially the ones in sale. I mean, all of your books. So I'm
Yes.
glad that you're making a point in history that you're a strong woman, strong Black woman, and you need to get her books. People, you just need to read what Joyce Johnson has to say because she's a new powerhouse. Not really new to me, but
New
seven,
to many.
yeah, but seven
And that's
books,
what becoming an author does for you. I'm launching my co-author program because now, me, I do something and now I want to help other people do it, right? I graduated from college and I want to help everyone do it. I get my MBA, I want to help everybody do it. In sales and a sales career, and I want to help everyone get there. I've referred a lot of people to sales, trained a lot of people on sales. And I think no matter what your degree study is, you're selling yourself. And I just want to be able to educate and train the masses, on what I know and the journey that I've had in my life. It's been a great journey, but not without challenges,
right?
right? And so what this book allows me to do is talk about some of those challenges of racism and sexism and what have you. But it also allows me to give people tools on how to overcome them, how to deal with it, rather I give people tips on, like, one incident I went to EOC, another incident I maybe worked with HR team. I talk about incidents as a leader as well as an independent contributor.
Mhm.
So in the book, I hope that people are able to take away some of those things as well. And you mentioned just about African American women. I was going over the final edit in a book, and I work with men in other countries. I've done a lot of work in oil and gas. And what I said in the book, and one of the lines, I just said, gosh, is there anywhere where Black women are celebrated?
Mm. Now you are
I
there?
ask you that really because I know you've traveled all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I've traveled all over the world, and I think one of my, I don't really like talking about myself, but since
Go
you're
ahead.
need to know something about your mentor, my most uh, prized accomplishment, or one of them, would be that I was the National Small Business Person of the Year. And that was through the SBA. And so first it was city, then it was state, then regional, and I actually won national. And that was quite a feat. And I was honored at the White House by it was President Clinton at that time.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that's,
Oh, wow.
but
So are you telling me I have to get to that?
yeah, you're already
Is
there.
that the goal?
You're
Get
already
small business of the year and be at the White House?
there. Well, that was
Pressure.
Biden Harris, and yes, so yes, you'll
Okay.
do that. You're gonna do that. I'm
All
gonna
righty then.
yes, you can do that.
Okay, I'll tell Monica, make sure she write that one down for our goals.
Yeah,
Monica goals. That's our goals.
you might be a speaker at something here. I mean, there's ways to get there, so you'll be there.
But
Okay.
tell me, I know, tell us about some of the countries that you traveled to. And like someone just invited me to go on a trip to Africa and, Ghana, which I've always wanted to go to, and then some other countries. Then they said Dubai, they were going to end it in Dubai. And I'm like, well, I don't know about Dubai because women don't have any rights in Dubai. You're still,
Well,
owned by your husband, basically.
and that's
But I was serious when I said that in my book because I deal with a lot of different countries. And so then if I'm not dealing with the racism here, I'm dealing with the sexism when I'm communicating with those countries. And so I was serious when I just had that moment and I said, is there anywhere where Black women are celebrated?
well, I guess I'll talk about my Nigeria experience because I was right out of what getting my master's degree, and I was getting my business. The first time I got my business off the ground, Big Pen Public Relations, and I worked with one of my friends from Africa, Nigerian woman, and we worked on her father's beer company campaign
Mm,
beer. So I was helping doing PR on that. And there in Nigeria is totally different. They don't use TNA, tits and butts and all of that to promote beer. You don't use animals. So we had to come up with some real strong concepts that people would find trophy beer. And that beer is still in existence, and now it's like the number one beer there in Nigeria.
wow.
But what I'm getting at is that sometimes we couldn't pitch the ideas. Her brother had to do things that we created. So women, it was kind of difficult there as well. But they loved our mindset. And then after a while, I was only there, worked on that project for a year. And I don't know, African women we were treated wonderful, but it was still that business. And so,
So then, yeah.
yeah,
And it's a journey. I mean, it's forever going. And I try not to engage on Facebook posts and things like that. But last night I saw a friend post something, and because I do try to take in everyone's perspective, as a leader, in diversity and inclusion. One thing I always think is important to hear everyone's perspective and really understand why everyone feels the way that they do. But I try not to engage, in that, but I sort of engaged a little bit. And I just think that, if it's not the female perspective, then it's the race card. And, or a combination of the two. And even working with predominantly, and here we are, even working with the predominantly male industries and and even other countries, predominantly Black countries, is still hasn't changed as much as we would like for it to change as women. You know, just hasn't changed as much as we would like for it to change. So if you imagine being the only woman and the only person of color in the room,
many times. So,
right?
right. I went to what do they call it? A WPU, a PWU, predominantly white university, for
Okay.
graduate school.
Yes.
Review in Texas Southern, those were my HBCU experiences, although I was, teaching or in a professional experience. So yeah,
And where did you graduate from? It's like on the top of my head and I can't pull it out.
I several schools, but
Undergraduate.
undergrad, Bowling Green State
Bowling
University.
Green, yes. I was
Yeah,
trying to get.
Bowling Green State University, and the Black students would come in, say 1,000 or 2,000 students, because the school is maybe 18,000, so we get 2,000 because they were recruiting Black students. So 2,000, but then by your graduating class, it might only be 100. So we were just, we weren't successful. I don't know how it's going now, but that's what was going on with us. And I was majoring in journalism. I was told at one point, you're not doing good in this. Maybe you should change your major to um, public, what is no, physical education. My professor
Physical education.
to go from
Oh, okay.
to physical education. I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
right.
Yeah. And then I was so proud when I started winning awards in communications, like Women in the Communications, PRSA. And I would had a chance to go back and speak to one of those journalism classes, but he wasn't there anymore. But I just remember, yeah. And then at Boston University, my first day in class there, it was myself and an African guy. We were the only two blacks in this school at BU in the communications program. And the instructor said, "You are the elite in this field because you create what people believe. You create what the world wants to know. And some of you
Mm.
make it and some of you will not." And I was like, wow. And then I found out that some of the students, all except me and Deji, the brother, we were never invited to the professor's home for these study sessions. So just racism like that, we it was just difficult. We did our work and made it, but things like that happen to you. And we didn't find out about it until that particular class was over, because one of the girls asked me, one of the classmates asked me, "How come you never came to the study sessions?" And she was Iranian, but she still managed to be white. So
Right. And and I mentioned in my book for so many years, and really even now, that if you weren't black, you're white, right? You're considered, I mean, the census, I looked it up. I don't remember which year they started saying, are you Hispanic, or Latino, what have you, but for so many years it was either you're black, or, if you weren't black, you were white. And I was on a call some months ago with a guy, and he's Jew, and he kept asking me about my heritage, and I said, "What box do you check on the census?" And he didn't want to answer it. I kept asking, "What box do you check on the census?" He checks white. He finally said he checks white.
what is he?
Um, I'm sorry.
Is he Hispanic? Like,
No, I'm Jew.
oh, okay. Yeah,
And
he's
so,
white.
yeah, and so I'm Jewish, and so I said, which box do you check, right? So in so many cases, whether you're in this country from India, other countries. I was looking at a thing, something online from a guy from Cuba. I remember doing an election part. He was saying how I was in Cuba, he's white and he would never be with a black person or never accept an African American person and things. And I was just like, wow, because I lived in Miami for so many years, and I would think about how such a I love the things I loved about it. I didn't like about it as well as I say, with anything, what you love about it, you sometimes hate
Mhm.
because um, it was so tough to either to get into all of those cliques. You got the Haitian people, the Cuban people, the Bahamian people, the Jamaican people. And so I would actually go to all of the Caribbean things where they brought all the Caribbean people together. I was a member of that organization. I think it's called Akaba,
Mhm.
so that I could, be in. And then they'd be like, well, what island are you from? I'm like, Galveston, Galveston Island. I grew up on an island. They just said, are you an island girl? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, you
I'm an
are.
island girl. I am Galveston. They didn't ask which island. Galveston Island outside of Houston, Texas. So an island's an island.
Exactly. I remember working in Puerto Rico. I was so excited about that because you were just treated. My Spanish wasn't that good, so when I started talking, they knew I wasn't Puerto Rican. But then they would say, "Oh, you're black. You're a Negro. You're black," because they just thought I was Puerto Rican, and they was like,
Yeah.
"No matter to us, everybody's just Puerto Rican." But now, since they've been getting more in line with the U.S. and the cultures have crossed so much, they got their thing going on with the black and white stuff too. So it,
Yeah.
but we are from a diaspora, African diaspora, and everyone should be proud of their roots, their African roots, and we just have to.
Mhm.
I'll just be. I want to see the day when, like you said, we are celebrated in every aspect. So what you're doing by writing your books, you're documenting history. You're showing that you're helping us to celebrate ourselves. So you are living history. You're documenting this history, and you're celebrating us. So Joyce, just keep up the good work, and that's what's so important. You're actually living history, right?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Always in my acknowledgments, I acknowledge, what I call them my gifts, I think in this book, my nieces and my goddaughters. And I have a godson too, Brian, I didn't forget.
Good.
But, and those girls, and I just think about, my niece is 25, is I had to help her deal with some things at her job last year. And gosh, for so many years I've just prayed that good people would be put in their lives and that they would be treated fairly and that they would have access and that they would be able to um be received
Mhm.
for their strength as young women and their training and education and their foundation. And so I was really saddened by the fact that my niece was experiencing that because, yeah, I was really saddened by that. And so I remember having a conversation with my mom about something that happened in my career. And she said, why didn't we file charges? And I was like, I really don't know. And I put that in my book. I said, I really don't know. Because, if it was my fault, they would have, right? And I think I just think one, you're just in shock, you're in a daze, you're humiliated, you're embarrassed, and you're worried about your future and your career.
Mhm.
And so you keep going. And you keep going, but I realized as of late that I suppressed a lot of stuff.
Yes, you did. I did. We have, and don't suppress it anymore. I know I had like, I don't know how many incidents, but two major incidents. And then
Mhm.
I said, no more. I'm going to sue. So I just started, when these things would happen to me, I would sue. I just started suing. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow. And, they would come out in my favor. I mean, I had a hard time. I mean, oh no, I can't. I can't even. Can I talk about that one? But I sued some major, and they settled with me out of court. So that was good.
And again, I just think that I don't know. Another quote that I put in my book is just about, and anyone who knows me knows that one of the reasons, I just realized when I was writing this book that I may have gotten it from when I was growing up as a kid, and my mom was a Jehovah's Witness, and we would go to church to the Kingdom Hall, and everyone worshiped together. White, black, Hispanic, we all worshiped together at the Kingdom Hall. We'd go to conferences, and we would all be there worshiping together. So one of the things that I sort of lean into a lot is going to culturally diverse churches, right? because I feel like if we're just wanting to be equal Monday through Saturday and not worshiping together on Sunday, we're still segregated on Sunday, which I actually call it sometimes segregated Sunday, then I'm just not sure we're ever going to be able to see the unity that we're looking for.
Right. I remember talking to you about that. That was one of my journeys too. I decided to go to culturally diverse churches, and I started going to Unity. And I wanted to know, well, what do they do that's different? And that's
Mhm,
when I started learning about what is it, money and things like that through
mhm.
church. Yeah, through Unity. Prosperity is what I was looking for. Somebody
30. Okay.
teaching prosperity, and we were teaching heaven and hell, and I don't know, I was like scared to death.
I, you say that. I remember growing up, and my big mama, my big mama, my mother's mom, my maternal grandmother, she was a member. I think it was Macedonia Church in Galveston, Texas, and they had like this heaven and hell party when we were like preteens, it might have been tweens. And I remember my cousin Renee and I going to the party. It was like a dance, and so you could pay like say like you paid $1 or 50 cents something, and and you went to church,
Mhm.
or you got to pay more money and go where you wanted, or you paid the lower amount and you drew, or they drew for you and decided where you went. And me and my cousin Renee's like, nah, here's our money. We're going to hell.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to go to hell. Yeah, I wanted to
My mom's online. She's probably like, oh my gosh.
go. Mom's online now. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, but we were like, nah, take our money.
yeah,
But yeah, so
okay.
you're right. A lot of that was either, heaven or hell. But I think a lot of churches now actually, coach, money management and prosperity and which is good because then it helps more people pay their tithes as well. But,
Oh,
we won't, go down that stream. But, I hope everyone goes out and get your copy of No Back Doors for me. It's available for pre-sale now on my website, www.iamjoycejohnson.com. I have created a journal for the book. And so, yes, and so when you order the book, you're going to get a journal. And I did the journal because I realized that I was going through this healing process, writing a book. I was going through a healing process last summer when I was getting my certificate in diversity and inclusion from Cornell University. And so I created a list of courses and exercises for people as they go through the book or after they read the book and go back the second time to help them just process what they've been through, process the journey, process what actions they want to take. There's also a part in there about inclusion. It's a skit that I wrote many years ago in corporate, and I included that because I wanted people to really hear the voice of other people and understand how we all feel something different. And so that was my trigger last night when I was on my friend's page on Facebook engaging. And then I was like, you know what, Joyce, back up, that's her thought, that's her process, that's her story. And we all have our different stories. So I documented mine and no back doors for me.
oh, great, great. Yeah, so that's a powerful tool. So, women, people, you need to use this tool that Joyce Johnson is offering for you. Please make sure you get the book, No Back Doors. Excellent. This is what she's telling her story. Everybody has a story, but we need to understand each other's stories. And by you having a journal in there, that's going to help. So, now, are you going to be my co author? Will you help me get my book off the ground? Okay.
Absolutely. I'm doing a co-authoring program right now. We have a conference call tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. You can go to my pages on LinkedIn and Facebook, and we have where you can go and register for it. But we're doing a co-author program where we're going to bring authors together. It's titled "Color Outside the Lines." Extraordinary stories of extraordinary leaders, and we have another one, stories of extraordinary leadership. And we're going to put it out there. It's a co-authoring program. I want to help people become authors, and everyone doesn't have time to write a whole book. So with the co-authoring program, you only write one chapter, 2,500 to 3,500 words. And I'm going to bring everyone together at a boot camp. And by the time we're done with that boot camp, everyone will have their chapter and it will go to, it's going to go to the editors. We'll be ready.
What type of topics? Do you come up with a topic for the book for
Whatever
everyone?
they want to write. It's about leadership. So we have the one for leaders. So if you're a leader and you want to write just about your experience as a leader, and then leadership, right? Because I just think anyone can be a leader wherever they are in whatever space. And
Mm-hmm.
you may just have an idea where you had to write, as you've done in the past, communication plans for organizations and companies, right? And they were successful, and so you talk about the leadership path and what it took for you to encourage those people and guide them to get to that point where everyone was on one accord.
Okay, great. I'm
Yeah.
teaching tonight. I'm a professor, but I'm online. I've been teaching online for 11 years. And now so many people are online teaching, but it has really changed a lot over 11 years. But now,
I'm following your path. I'm teaching as well, and
yeah,
I do need to go get the PhD. I've been saying I was going to start it for some years. Oh, dang, we're out of time already. I've been saying I was going to start it for some years, and it just hasn't happened. But it's gonna happen. I will be Dr. Joyce Johnson. And it just tickles me when the students say, Professor Johnson, Professor Johnson.
professor. Yes, yes.
Most of the time I don't answer because I'm not even thinking that they're talking to me. It's an amazing thing. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, when you teach college, because you have to have a master's degree to teach at the university level. When you're teaching at the university level, you're a professor. So
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're like, Professor Johnson. I'm like, me? But
Um,
anyways, so I want to go ahead and wrap up. Again, my guest and co-host for today has been Dr. Deborah Thigpen, who's one of my mentors from college. I'm sure if you've ever really listened to anything that I've done, you heard me say her name. You've seen her name in my books, and you'll see it in this book also, No Back Doors for Me. Go and pre-order your copy of the book with a t-shirt and the journal with No Back Doors for Me. It's at iamjoycejohnson.com. Follow me on all my social pages at I am Joyce Johnson. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is I am Joyce Johnson. So thank you for your time. I appreciate everyone's support. Look forward to seeing you guys virtually at the book launch next Friday. Go get signed up. It's going to be an exciting time. Make it a great year. Mwah.